So today's video is going to be about Claude Code and how it really is bridging the gap in between n8n workflows and full stack applications. The big change here is that it's not just a code editor. You're not just fixing syntax. It is a fully autonomous agent that is going to be setting up an agentic developing environment that allows you to really manage the agent to do the work for you. So today I'm going to tell you all about what Claude Code is, how to set it up, and then most importantly, how we can actually utilize it. Let's get Claude Code set up. Let's demystify the agentic development, and let's figure out what it's all about. Let's do it. So first things first, we're going to need to install Claude Code, and the best place to do this is on VS Code. If you've been on this channel, you've probably already seen the VS Code video and gotten that set up. If not, I'll put a link to the video. So go ahead and install Claude Code, click through it, and you can authorize through your Claude subscription or through the Claude developer platform directly by purchasing credits. So you can see at first glance, this looks very similar to any other LLM that you've worked with. This is relatively new. You used to be able to only interact with Claude Code through the terminal. So this is a really nice upgrade, really nice interface to be able to use all of Claude Code's features through a more friendly user interface. Before we dive deep into Claude Code, I want to bring up a few important developer terms. I found these helpful before diving fully into Claude Code, understand everything conceptually. So the IDE, that's the integrated development environment, right? So the software itself, we're using VS Code, is integrated because it combines a text editor, a terminal, and debugging tools all in one place. And the analogy that we have for this one is the kitchen. So it has the stove, the knives, and the fridge all in one room. Then we have the code base. So this is the entire collection of source code for a specific application or service. It's the body of work. So another analogy, this would be the recipe book, right? So all the instructions needed to actually make the meal. And then we have the repository. So this is a folder tracked by Git. It keeps a history of every change made in the code base. So this would be like if there was a security camera in the kitchen, recording every single move that happens while you're cooking, so you can rewind if you mess up. So why do we even care about these terms? Like, I just want to get into building agents. I just want to get into building automated YouTube channels. Why are you telling me all this? So here's why I'm bringing it up. Before you get started with using Claude Code and setting up your project, you're going to want to make a key decision, whether you're going to be doing this on a code base or a code space. So the code base is the actual collection of source code, configuration files, and assets that make up your project. However, a code space is a development environment that is hosted entirely in the cloud. Running AI generated code on your local machine can be risky. So a code space is going to provide a secure cloud-hosted virtual machine that actually isolates Claude Code from your personal files. So this is going to give it a sandbox environment that takes away some of the risk that you would have if you were doing it on your local machine. All right, so first things first, let's head on over to GitHub and set up a new repository. Give it a name that you'll remember. I'm calling mine n8n agents, and a description as well. So for me, I'm going to call this the Agentic IDE Sandbox because we're going to be setting up the code space. Then just make sure to have these settings checked, especially that it's going to be a private repository. And once you're all set, hit Create Repository. Click Yes on Create a Code Space. Click Yes again. And now you're going to be launched into a VS Code browser where it's setting up your new code space. Give it a minute and then click to open on the desktop. Allow GitHub Codespaces extension to operate in VS Code. And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner that our code space is now active. FYI, the code space verbose meme is just our unique permanent ID that GitHub uses for backend logs and CLI commands. You can always change this later by going back to Codespaces, selecting your code space, and then hitting rename. So now we have a completely isolated, cloud-hosted environment where Claude Code has the freedom to run terminal commands safely and operate within this sandbox. We're going to run the following command in the terminal to install the CLI. So you might have noticed, even though the installation script says local, it doesn't mean that it's actually on our physical laptop, right? So it means that it's local in the cloud, because in our code space, we're actually working inside of a virtual Linux container, a mini computer in the cloud. So it's our local environment inside of that cloud space, just to be clear. All right, now that we've installed Claude Code to our code space with the curl command, next just type in Claude and we're gonna finish the installation here. So pick what kind of interface you wanna have, and then we're gonna confirm whether we're gonna be using a Claude account with the subscription, or we're gonna be going directly through the Anthropic console account where you can buy credits and be billed that way. So right here, I'm opting for the subscription. Just be aware that with great agentic coding comes great agentic responsibility and costs. So you can really rip through credits pretty quick here. So check out the Claude plans and then cost of credits on the developer platform and see what works best for you. All right, and now we're just gonna press enter to proceed. I'm going with the recommended settings here. And then we're going to say yes to confirm that we're okay with Claude making changes to our files inside of our code space. That's just fine. So we are now fully set up here. Claude Code is now inside of our code space, ready to go with all of the access and permissions that it needs to start working. Our next step is typing the /init command and then pressing enter. This is going to let Claude analyze my project and basically onboard itself. So Claude will read your README markdown and then automatically generate a Claude markdown file, which acts as a persistent brain and instruction manual for this specific project. When you're defining your markdown file, you can add specific instructions for credentials that you have, certain nodes that you would prefer to use, platforms, all of that. For now, we're just going to let Claude determine, based on the README markdown, what it thinks is best for creating our n8n workflows. So you can see that the agent is exploring the code base right now, and that's what we're watching. And here's this comment right here. So the code base is essentially empty with just a README markdown file. So let me read the markdown file and confirm what we're going to do next. So it identifies correctly that it's a brand new repository, and they're going to create a new Claude markdown file that reflects the current project intent, which for us is creating n8n workflows. So here we go. Just a basic minimal Claude markdown file for the repository that is focused on creating n8n workflows. So for now, this is going to work great. And this is going to define our agent's brain for this specific project. So this is obviously a very simple example, as we're just committing this to the repository and pushing it to Git. But think about this if you already were working on a vibe-coded application through like Lovable or Emergent or something like that, and you already had a more put together code base, then you could upload it and have Claude analyze everything in that code base and then create the markdown file for that project. And then that's how you could get started debugging and refining the code. So, this is a very simple example that we're setting up for n8n workflows, but it's exciting to think about how you can also upload the vibe-coded code bases that you have from these other applications to really just launch into getting these applications pushed to production. So what we've effectively done by creating the Claude markdown file is give the project a brain. However, now we need to give it hands so it can actually work for us, right? So it's time to run the MCP connection command to link our terminal to our actual n8n dashboard and instance. That way, everything that Claude Code does can be pushed immediately to our instance, and it can also reference everything going on inside of that instance to update workflows, reference them in its logic, and then create entirely new ones as well. So we need two pieces of information before we can run this command. The first thing is going to be our API key. So go to your settings in your n8n instance, click on API. If you don't have an API key yet, click Create New, name it something you'll remember, and then you can also adjust the expiration date as well. And then the other piece of information we'll need is our instance URL. So you can find that at the top of your n8n browser. So just go ahead and copy that. And then here's the key thing. After cloud, you're going to need to put /API/v1. So I'll put the exact command, how it looks like, how I input my instance, so you can make sure that it's formatted correctly. So once you've input your n8n API key and your instance URL, there's going to be some tomfoolery, and Claude is connecting the n8n MCP server to our Claude Code configuration. So we just need to restart the terminal, and then we're going to have MCP connectivity. We can run a super simple command /MCP just to check that the server is connected properly. It looks like it is, so we can press enter. And now you're greeted with a menu to look at the tools, so you can browse through all the different tools that you just unlocked for Claude Code to be able to utilize with n8n. But basically what this does is this opens up the office for Claude Code to get in and be able to work and make changes to n8n without asking us. We can change these settings in the permissions so that it can actually make these changes without checking with us. Now that we have the MCP connectivity, it's like you have a 24/7 developer that's in your office and can work for you now. All right, Claude Code installed, MCP connected. We are now officially ready to start making n8n workflows. So we're going to go ahead and take it for a spin and build the AutomateOS market intelligence agent. Okay, so this is going to use the n8n YouTube nodes to search for vibe coding and n8n tutorials from the last 7 days. Then it's going to have an outlier filtering. It's going to use the AI agent node to identify the top 3 videos where views divided by subscriber account is a 5x. So these are viral outliers. And then there's intelligence extraction. For those outliers, we want to analyze the transcripts to find the specific hook used in the first 30 seconds, and then the core 3 value pillars that kept people watching. And then to end, we're going to be sending this to Google Drive with a Google document. So we're using the Google Drive node to create a new document titled Viral Intel, followed by the date. And this writes the analysis directly into the document. What you're seeing on the screen here is just me interacting with the agent, and each step along the way, it's asking for permission to make changes when necessary. You can also click into the details to take a closer look, or you can grant it permission to make changes without your permission for this specific project. For now, I want to see each step of the creation process, so I've been looking at each node as it's being set up. And now we're coming to the end here, and it's going to give us a workflow summary, basically show us the architecture of how it approached the problem, how it solved it, and then the next steps that we're going to need to take to actually finish the automation. Now, this is the coolest part right here. So without even having to log into n8n, make any changes, the workflow that we just created with Claude Code is already there. And we can click into it, and boom, there you go. We've got our entire workflow created for us. We just need to fill in the credentials and make sure everything is working properly with some manual testing, and we're pretty much there. May have spoke too soon. When looking through the node architecture, I did notice a small problem. So in the YouTube node where Claude Code is trying to fetch the view count, that value is not actually supported in the official YouTube node. So that doesn't mean we can't do this automation. It just means that we're going to have to do it a different way, most likely with a custom API call. So again, Claude Code is going to do most of the work here. It's going to set up your architecture. It's going to think about how to solve the problem that you set out in the most efficient way possible. But stuff like this can still happen, right? So we can either fix this manually, or we can go back to Claude Code and inform it of this revelation that YouTube isn't going to let us get view count through the official n8n YouTube node. And then let's see how it can approach solving the problem and fixing our workflow, because that's something it can do. Okay, so after letting Claude try to fix its own workflow, here are the results. So we basically just wanted to make a few corrections because the official YouTube community node wasn't able to fetch the data that we were looking for. So giving Claude that information and letting it work, it was able to add custom HTTP requests nodes to the workflow and make some other adjustments. So it was able to push that directly to the n8n instance. And here is what the new workflow looks like. So you can see here we've got our daily trigger, so we can define that as often as we would like to run it. And instead of searching for view count in these nodes, now we're looking for relevance. So the keywords that we defined for us, it was vibe coding and n8n automations. It's going to be searching based on relevance to those terms. So then we're searching on YouTube based on relevance of keywords. We're merging the results. We're getting those channel the channel information and IDs, and then we're passing them on to a custom HTTP request right here. Then we're enriching the data, and then we send it to our OpenAI agent to actually do the analysis. So here's what the prompt looks like. And what we're looking for is viral outliers. So we're looking for small channels that have created content recently that has substantially outperformed their subscriber count, their channel size, because that would indicate that the algorithm is favoring that content heavily, and it's even rewarding small creators. So this is an asset that you can install for your channel as well. So we analyze, and then we also analyze the hook and then the value of the video itself with just a brief description, and then the 3 core pillars that really made their video valuable. We format the Intel report, and then we create a Google Doc and send that to a folder. So before you send it to a folder, you can actually define which one that you want to use. So you might just want to go to your Google Drive real quick, create a new folder. I did YouTube viral outliers before actually running the automation. And then when I was done with Claude Code, I did have to fix a few things. Mainly, let's see, it's this last node right here. This was the only node that really gave me trouble. Claude was able to do everything else. So needed to fix this JSON ID. And then also for the text itself, had to actually drag the text. So the format Intel report needed to be dragged for the text action. Other than that, everything else worked. Claude Code did everything else. So that's kind of what you would expect with Claude when you're defining these workflows that you want to make. The expectation is really just to fill in credentials and then maybe fix a few issues. So I'll go ahead and run this real quick. right, so our workflow successfully executed. You can check on your Google Drive, and you'll see right here, our viral report has been compiled and sent to us. So here we go, viral intent report, January 22nd, 2026. So here we've got our first video right here, right? So install n8n with ffmpeg on Mac, create free long AI videos locally. So it's giving us our videos right here, and it's documented and it's verified by the YouTube Data API v3. However, the one thing that I'm noticing right off the bat here is that our viral score is not greater than 5x. So the architecture is correct, the workflow functions how we want it to, the data passes through, everything is correctly formatted. You see, it's giving us the exact URLs, it's giving us the analysis, that is all correct. It's just as far as the videos, it's picking itself. We're looking for some improvement there. So the architecture is good. Really what we would just need to do now is go into the OpenAI GPT agents or the YouTube nodes and tweak our outlier terminology to look for better videos. Things that we could clarify, I only want to look for videos that are created by creators in the United States that are in English. We can add all this extra criteria to really fine tune this, which I'll definitely be doing after this, but you get the point that with Claude Code, you're able to make this entire workflow correctly as far as the architecture goes in a few minutes. I mean, it's crazy. So it's really just refining the logic, doing some prompt engineering, and fixing what the AI is doing in the workflow. But the architecture is correct, and we were able to make this in just a few minutes. So game changer. Just a few closing thoughts to kind of wrap everything together. The theme for 2026 is definitely agentic development. So the line between n8n workflows and applications is blurring, and how you can create them is becoming easier and easier. So whether it's the n8n beta AI chatbot that you can communicate with inside of n8n itself, Claude Code, or any of these other vibe coding tools, it's becoming easier and easier to take whatever idea that you have and then make it a reality without having developing experience. So Claude Code is definitely going to be a tool that I'm using for all complex workflow architecture and creation. And it's going to be something that I create multiple projects for, whether it's n8n workflows or applications that I'm working on. So I'm working on this one application right now for crypto price analysis. I can't think of a better tool to use than Claude Code to really get into the code base and debug everything and get everything ready for production. So this is a tool I'm really excited about to keep using. It's one that I'm going to be utilizing in the school community, AutomateOS. So if you're interested in working on vibe coding these apps, building n8n workflows, and discovering how we can create income from AI, I would highly recommend you joining the school community. Would love to see you in there. It's only January 2026, so just getting started this year. But if you're not using Claude Code or any of these other agentic coding tools, you're working way too hard. It does not have to be this hard. So do not start from a blank canvas. Think about your idea. Think about how to put it in very concise, clear writing. Work with your LLM. Work with your very own senior developer to make these workflows, apps, anything in between possible. Thanks again for sticking around till the end of the video. Definitely going to be doing more Claude Code videos in the future with cool things that we create. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you around the channel. Peace.